Hi, I'm MK Williams. I'm an author and independent publisher. I love sharing my insights about all things self-publishing with you. Before we get into the details of today's video, don't forget to hit subscribe. That way you'll be here every week as I release new videos on self-publishing, making a career of being an author, and now being a mompreneur. And today we're specifically going over the fun, business side of things, talking about goals. Another year has passed. I know it's hard to believe, but it is the end of 2022, and therefore Jason and I, my amazing head of my fan club, CFO for all things MK Williams Publishing, and also my super hunky husband, is here with me to go over our 2022 goals, looking back on what the goals were and if they were accomplished for the business, and looking ahead to 2023. So thank you once again for joining us, Jason.
Absolutely. So excited to be here. I cannot believe it's been a year. It's ludicrous, but it's also a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Because we get to look back, we get to look forward, we get to think of how we're going to challenge ourselves again, because we like to do that. We like to talk about our values.
Yes, absolutely. So, and it's always fun for us to share it with you guys. Obviously, we're having these conversations all the time. And even in the past week or so, we've stopped ourselves from talking, just because we wanted to make sure we were having this conversation on camera for you guys. But it's always nice because you guys write, oh, I didn't think about thinking about my business that way, or, oh, I hadn't considered it that way. So we like to share it with you. All right. So this is, like we were saying, our least planned conversation. Mm-hmm. So some YouTube magic for you. We actually do a lot of planning ahead for our other videos. So this is the least amount. So I'm just going to dive in.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to start with a sponsor. I'm just putting things off. So thank you for stamps.com for being an affiliate of this channel. To date, my best performing video on this channel is all about media mail, and my second best performing video is about media mail. Media mail is available, at least in the U.S., through the U.S. Postal Service, USPS, where if you're mailing a book, you pay a much reduced rate. So for me, when I mail out autographed books or copies of my books to people, it is ridiculously inexpensive. And so with stamps.com, you can sign up and you can just buy your media mail postage at home. They have some special deals running that I'll have details below where you can click on that and save. Thanks, stamps.com.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, anytime you can save 50 to 75% off, that's going to be dropping straight to your bottom line.
Exactly. It's amazing. And I did sell more books direct this year, so that was a big savings. Bringing it back to 2022.
All right, let's talk about it.
Putting it off. Okay. So 2022, so I actually watched the goals video that we did from last year to kind of look at everything. And it was interesting. Some of the things that I said, I will be so upset at the end of this year if it's not done. And I'm just kind of like, eh.
What does that tell you?
So I think it tells me certain priorities have shifted. And that's going to happen no matter what, every year. What I start with versus what we end with is going to be very different. So I think it's good to have some grace and have some wiggle room in the goals, and also know there probably isn't anything business related that I would be like, oh, if I didn't do this, it'd be the end of the world, because the business, yes, it's a huge part of our life. It's a huge part of my identity, but number one priority is you and our daughter. So it kind of reminds me of that.
Now, was it because you started to take action, but then something happened so you pivoted, or you just completely scratched an original idea?
So the thing that I mentioned in the 2022 video that I was like, I will be so upset if it doesn't get done, is having the how to write your first book, nonfiction book, Author Your Ambition book done. And I was really challenged with figuring out the outline for it. I actually do more outlining for my nonfiction books than I do for my fiction books. And we'll kind of get into that more later. And I was it's so comprehensive. You're talking about cookbooks to memoirs to how-to guides to personal finance primers and everything in between. It's so hard to say here's how to write this. And so I had been pivoting well, here's maybe I'll do a thing of what not to do, or if you're going from a blog or podcast content creator to writing a book, here's what you specifically need to know. And I just didn't have the energy for it. It just wasn't there. And then I knew I needed to get the workbook out. I knew other things needed to happen. So I just prioritized the things that were giving me more energy. I also had some big client projects in the beginning of the year that took up so much energy that as soon as they were done, it was just let me work on the fun fiction things and the fun things that I was really energized about. So I pivoted more to where was my energy versus where was my goal.
Right. I love you're talking about energy instead of time. Because we all have time, but you run out of energy. So you're at the end of the day, you could still be working, you could still be doing things, but if you don't have the energy for it, then you're going to use the time is going to be shifted to non-productive tasks. But,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm really glad I focused the energy there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's rewind. Let's go ahead and go back to maybe what the 2022 original goals were. And
Yes. So I wanted to have Going Wide, this book, updated, just because. And then what people say they like about this book is that it's very tactical of like, on this browser, you're going to be doing this, on this platform, you're going to be doing X, Y, Z. And so it has to be updated more often. And I said I was going to update it this year. And then Draft to Digital acquired Smashwords. And they've only just now at the end of 2022 passed like their phase 1. And so my thought was, well, I know I need to update it, but like, if somebody buys it now, like, well, they're not fully integrated yet. So that was my excuse for kicking the can down the road. So it's now a 2023 goal to update Going Wide. But I've gotten really good feedback on the book all year, really solid sales on it all year.
Right.
So it's still helping people even with that one platform integration not matching. And there's a few little things that I'll clean up. But I think there's enough to be changed that'll need to be reformatted. So yeah.
Okay.
So that was a 2022 goal. It is still a 2023 goal. I wanted to have an Author Your Ambition ebook box set, ebook bundle created. And it was because I didn't update this one.
Right.
But now, obviously on PayHip, I have it where if people buy one, then they're prompted to buy the next and save. And now I have it with Google Play. So there's going to be... I can do it.
Right.
I kicked that can down the road.
It seems like that would have been a fairly easy one to have.
It was because I updated self-publishing for the first-time author and book marketing for the first-time author with that in mind. But I knew that like this was going to be a bigger thing, and I really wanted to focus on getting the workbook done.
Right.
So.
Okay.
And like, again, because I'm like, well, until the integration's fully done, I don't feel like I can like update and be like, the update is done.
Right.
So yeah.
Buy the complete collection.
But
It's
there's
not
still going to be
complete.
updates.
Right.
Because then if I update in one book, I have to go update it in the ebook box set.
Right.
So that was a thought there.
Okay.
Author Your Ambition nonfiction book. We talked about that. Didn't do that. I did have the goal of hitting the 10,000 subscribers for YouTube this year. We're not there. We're not there. It's okay. It's still been a super exciting year. Like when we hit 5,000 subscribers earlier this year, we had a huge celebration. It was so exciting. And it seemed like all the energy was going to be there to get us to 10K. And then I did my summer slowdown, and YouTube is just now getting not mad at me about it. So that's where I went. Instead of posting every week, I posted every other week during the summer. And so I could have pre-recorded more and just nobody would have known. But I just made the decision that it was going to be a lot of extra effort to record double the videos and edit them. And there were things I just wanted to get done. So I'm glad I got those things done.
Yeah, so it's tough to measure. It's
It
tough
is.
So it's like you did not hit this, but what did you accomplish because you slowed down?
Well, I think some good things.
Right.
So we'll get to that.
Okay.
So I started the year with a goal of 100 members on the channel. I do not have 100 members on the channel. I have a handful of really dedicated members on the channel, and I'm super grateful for every single one of them. So I'm not going to complain that I didn't hit that goal because I love the people who are part of the membership, and thank you to everybody who supports this channel. Either with your comments and your likes and things like that. But for those of you who are channel members and every month are showing up for our live Q&As, are financially supporting this channel, like that's the reason why I can still put more into this channel. I can fund my time in editing, but I can also fund some of the marketing experiments for book marketing that I want to bring you guys. So thank you to the channel members. You're the best. Thank you. And then I had a goal of connecting with other great author tubers in the past year and like wanting that more connection. I think I actually have done that. So that was something I'm really excited about. We have some fun collaborations coming up early into the next year. I had like a monthly call with a fellow indie author and she was just amazing to talk to. And I think there are some times where you question it. You're like, you say you have all this stuff to get done, but you're making time for this call. I'm like, I don't have any coworkers. Like, I don't have anybody to chat with about these things. And there were multiple times that we both, like, one week I'd be like, hey, like, I am so close to finishing this draft. Can we just bump back a week? Yep. And then like that next week she'd be like, hey, I'm in the same position. I just need to get this back to my editor. Can we bump a week? So it wasn't always exactly 1 month, but we had some really good connections there. So I do feel like I have some good connections. And that, again, it's really hard to quantify. But yeah, that was good.
Well, I'm glad. And you're collaborating with others, with channel members. So there's a lot of great communication going on, and the energy, again, going back to energy you get when you have these conversations, it's off the chart.
It is.
You come in, you're like, this is what's going on. I'm like, I don't know what that means. That sounds great.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Just because it's so infectious.
It is. It really is. And like every time that I wear, I'm like, okay, like, is this worth my time? Like I finished the call, I'm like, yep, 1,000% worth my time. So that's always super exciting. We talked at certain points during the year of like what was going to be the future of like my biggest client. And I say my biggest client because they were taking up the most amount of my time and they were also contributing the most financially. So it was kind of both. So their outstanding books were completed that they had hired me to see to completion. They didn't have any new ones on the docket. And I had a conversation with them that said, look, I can either go and source you new books, I can make the books happen, or I can help you market your current ones. You pick. But I couldn't do all three. Just knowing like the productivity cliff I was having and trying to say like, I think if you want to continue this, you need to bring in other people. So I'm just stepping back. Like they decided not to take on new projects because of the direction that they're going, which totally makes sense. So I'm definitely in maintenance mode with them right now, just making sure their current authors are happy. We're making sure their international translations are going. Like we're making sure they're getting their royalties on time. Like we're doing all those things, but it's much less time intensive than get the book across the finish line. So I got a lot of time back. Also dropped a little bit from the bottom line, but I think it was worth it for the amount of stress I was feeling too.
And that was like a September or so transition. So that was about 3/4 of the year that they still took up a pretty good chunk of time.
Yeah.
That'll not repeat in 2023.
Yeah. Yes. And financially
As
will
well.
not repeat.
Right.
So that's something that we had, I think the fact that we have been talking about it for so long, like I think once we knew I was pregnant, we knew like, okay, something eventually has to give. And for so long it was like, okay, well, like they consistently every month bring in a certain amount. So we really need to put the effort there. And then like my stuff was kind of like nice to have. And just knowing eventually like with our daughter growing up, well, eventually we have to choose. And so having lots of conversations back and forth and just getting really comfortable with like, this could go. Like, and I know I got to a point where I was like on the phone with one of like the co-owners of the company, like, I am at a level of stress that is not healthy, like, and not like complain, but kind of just set up like something needs to change soon. I don't know what that change needs to be, but like changes need to happen. And like understanding that they very well could have been like, okay, well then stop working for us. And like that second. And they were super agreeable and super helpful to like transition things down, which they didn't have to do. And it was super appreciated. So that way we could do that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's kind of a testament to the goodwill that you built with them over years and years of working hard to go with them too.
Yeah. But it also goes to show like the consistency of the business does change over time. I think it should change over time where your life status is. Yeah. And that's just going to be what we navigate into 2023.
Yeah. I think it was a natural pivot, but it's kind of nice because we always talk about getting out of our comfort zone and kind of working with them kept you in a certain box of comfort because it was guaranteed income. It took up so much of your time, so you weren't able to be as creative on other facets of your life. But now it's like, oh, now it's on me. Now I don't have this. It was almost like a semi-corporate type job in essence, in some aspects.
In some aspects, yeah.
And now you're much more on the entrepreneurial creative front without this largest client.
Yeah, yeah. Like what we talk about at the end of each week with our like, what were the weekly goals? Like, was that done? That's totally changed. And yeah, it really is like, what do I need to get done today versus this client and the potential authors dictating my day of like, there's a fire to put out. It's like, okay, well, there goes my plans for the day. Like, I need to get this done. It's like, oh, like, what do I need to get done to move my business forward today? Like, truly for the entire work session that I have. So much more control, which is exciting, but also scary. What if I choose wrong? So that was a really big thing at the beginning of 2022 that we knew was coming and that was here. Some of the things that we did in 2022 was not even on the radar. So I know I had talked about wanting to put together a workbook. I had many requests for the workbook, and now I've got this phone book here. This big honkin' papa, almost 350 pages of content of my brain downloaded of here's every single thing you need to do to self-publish a book from start to finish, the decisions you need to make, when you need to do things. So it's finally here. Yay. It is on pre-order right now, so you can purchase the PDF copy directly from me. The PDF that you can print out and work on at home. You can put in a binder. You can just keep the loose pieces of paper that you can purchase directly from me right now. I have the links below, and there's even like a super handy, just like click below the video and you can purchase that. If you can pre-order the print version too, like if you don't have a printer, except for one at work, or you just want it like, here, you print it for me, and you just fill it in. You can pre-order it from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the usual places, by January 10th, not June 10th, by January 10th. And when you do that, please send me your proof of purchase. The first 10 people to pre-order a print copy or to directly purchase the PDF from me and send the proof of purchase, you're going to get invited to an exclusive Q&A. The first 10 people and me, exclusive Q&A. Absolutely, the first 10 people get that. And then everybody who sends in their pre-order proof of purchase or their PDF proof of purchase by January 10th is going to be entered to win the entire AYA series, Going Wide, Self-Publishing for the First Time Author, Book Marketing for the First Time Author, How to Write Your First Novel, and a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session with me. So, great value. I can't wait to talk with whoever this person is, but definitely keep sending in those pre-order proof of purchase and regular proof of purchase to me so that way I can enter you. Because otherwise, I don't know that you want to be entered. So definitely send that. And I'll have all the details below where you can do that.
Well, I'll be the first one to purchase. I don't know if I'm eligible to win or not, but...
You're not eligible to win. Fun fact.
Well, we'll see about
and
this a
I
little
have
bit.
extra copies here.
Okay.
So.
And
here.
it could be great for the coffee table. It's absolutely beautiful.
Formatted by Formatted Books. Thank you so much, Formatted Books.
Absolutely. It could be a weight.
It could be a way.
It's a monster. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It looks
so this was, I mean, I had started what I thought this would be last year, but I knew it was going to be such a big undertaking. I didn't even have it on my 2022 roadmap. And then I ended up creating the framework for it when I did the AuthorTube Writers Conference, because that was like how to self-publish. And I was like, okay, what are my big ticket things? Okay, what are these big sections? What are these decisions? And that really helped me get this organized. So this is everything that you need to know, the decisions you need to make to self-publish your book. So if you are looking to self-publish your book in 2023, this is what you need. This right here. So that was something that we did in 2022 that wasn't really on the roadmap. Interview with a Van Lifer was a short story that I thought of maybe last March and just got it done. Like about 12,000 words. It was super fun. It's about hippie vampires who want to save the earth from climate change. So like, that's fun. And they have merch. Like, come on. My vampires have merch. So that was a super fun project. We also didn't plan that we were going to have to evacuate from a hurricane the week before it launched. So that was 2022.
That's good timing.
Yeah. So there were some really exciting things that happened in 2022 and pivots. And then obviously the things that didn't get done, they didn't get done for a reason. So, yeah. And then as far as my numbers, my metrics, for those of you who have been following as I've done these videos every year, as far as my wide percentage. So I'm really big about going wide as far as how much of my sales were from within the Amazon ecosystem, how much of them were outside the Amazon ecosystem. So in 2019, 49% of my sales were with KDP and ACX, so Amazon ecosystem. In 2020, it was 51%. In 2021, it was 49% again, so kind of wavering right about half. In 2022, now this is as of November because I haven't pulled all the December numbers yet. As of November 2022, I have 63% of my sales were from the Amazon ecosystem.
Wow. Even as you try to push
all the
wide
other things.
Yeah.
So it goes to show it is good that Amazon's there, but I also had 37% of my sales were from outside. So still pretty good. Still really glad I have those other sources. I would say Google Play continues to be my largest source of international sales. So it's been really exciting. And just having so many people start to purchase directly from me is really nice. So, yeah.
What about Findaway Voices or Findaway versus ACX?
I didn't have that in here because that's just for audiobooks.
Okay. I wonder if the split's still close to that 50-50 or 60-40 or...
I would guess that it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't pull that number. I'm so sorry. I'll flash it up here right now.
Boom.
Okay. And then you challenged me wanting to know some data on fiction versus nonfiction. So I obviously have my fiction books. I kind of write all over the place. I have science fiction books. I have now a fantasy short story. I have some literary shorts. Yeah, I just do my thing. And then I have the nonfiction titles with the Author Your Ambition series that started out in 2020. So I pulled these numbers as of 2020 because before 2020, I had no nonfiction. It was 100% of my sales were fiction. So in 2020, I had a total of 8 titles out. 5 were fiction, 3 were nonfiction. 59% of my sales came from fiction, and 40% came from nonfiction. Now, that was with me launching self-publishing for the first-time author and book marketing for the first-time author in March of 2020, which I thought, nobody's going to care that my book's out right now. Nobody's going to care. And then within a month, I was busier than I could imagine.
People had time on their hands.
They sure did. We know why. We know why. 2021 was the year I released Going Wide and How to Write Your First Novel. I also had... Which fiction books came out that year? Yes. Okay. So I only had a total of 10 titles. So that was where we had the gain. So on the fiction side, I had 13.64% of my sales were fiction. That's a big drop from 59%. And my nonfiction sales were 86% of my royalty revenue. So that was a big jump up, but I suddenly had 4 titles. I had a really positive launch with Going Wide. So that did great. So that was awesome. And then 2022 so far, again, this is only through November, I have 20% of my sales is from fiction and 79% and change is from nonfiction. So balancing out a little bit more. And my total revenue from just book sales has grown each year, which has been really exciting to see. Like, more books do sell more books. Right. But yeah, it is interesting how much is going to the fiction. And for me, it's so much easier to promote the nonfiction. It's so much easier because...
It's a clear message of...
Yeah. Well, and the people who follow me, not just on YouTube, but like on Twitter when I was still posting there, on Instagram, like the people who follow me are looking for how to self-publish, how to do these things. And so it makes sense that of any of the books I talk about, that's going to be the one they're interested in regardless of genre. Now, some of those people do like to read science fiction. Some of those people do like to read some of my other fiction work. So like it might appeal to them, but it's like a crapshoot, right? Like everybody wants to read different things. And so even though I still try to talk about the fiction and promote the fiction, it's just a more natural for the nonfiction, which hurts my soul, but doesn't hurt my bank account.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, again, it's a very targeted message, and the consumer knows exactly what they're going to get versus the fiction book. And fiction book, how many people only go to the Kings and Fidalchis? And it's hard. It's so hard. Well, and it's not, and that's some of the things that I know so many of us authors lament. So on average, the average American reads 12 books a year, and that's including your far outliers, right? That's including people like me who are reading maybe more than a book a week. And then there's the people who maybe like they pick up 1 book a year, that's all included in there. So the average is 1 book a month. Obviously, people like to read different genres, and they have so many options. Like, yeah, they can keep going back to all the big name people, or they can just watch a Netflix show. Like, there's so much more competition, which is exciting. Like, it's exciting to like, okay, like how can I find like what people would want? But it's also like, just read my book. You're right. Support the indie authors.
Just read it.
Right.
So that's I have 2 challenges where I'm going to be there's 2 ways I'm going to be specifically challenging myself in my fiction area in 2023. Subscribe so you can watch those announcement videos, and they come out shortly. But the majority of my goals for 2023 are around the Author Your Ambition brand and the nonfiction. Okay. Because there's so much that I want to do and get done. Right. And it's also the fiction books, like, they take longer because like I'm crafting a whole story versus like, here's what I know, like go do the thing. And also I plan ahead that I'm giving them less energy than what is moving the needle for the business, which is the nonfiction side. But I still need to write the fiction because I can't just say, here's how to self-publish a book. I only write books and how to self-publish books. Like that doesn't work. So
does that mean you're about to transition into your 2023 goals?
Yeah. Do you have more from 2022?
No, I want to know about the biggest wins. I think we talked about those. I think Author Your Ambition workbook is
Literally the biggest win. Yeah, I would say this is the biggest win of the year.
Being comfortable losing the biggest client and transitioning, again, just based on constant
Where things are.
conversations and
Yeah.
that mental preparation.
Yeah, I'm really proud of us for being okay with that.
Right. Yeah, we talked about, I kind of want to know what the best pivot was, because I do think it is important when we get stuck just to take action. And I know I need to do this too, but you just take action and then you pivot. So just what your best pivot was, following something like you took action, you're just like, and then maybe it is the book that didn't get written just because you're like, this book is very, very challenging and there's so many different facets. And
Yeah, I would say the best pivot is not finishing the third book in the Feminina series. That was another big goal for this year. And I even last year was saying I don't think it'll be out in 2023, but I thought it would be like drafted and like working through editing. It's not even drafted. I had another idea for a dystopian novel that is drafted and is with alpha readers right now, which is very exciting. So I'm glad I got that one drafted. Feminina, stay tuned. But I think that was the right pivot. I just had the energy. And I was starting to just slog through that third Feminina book. And I was like, I'm just writing to write. And I don't actually have in mind where these characters are going to end up. And I was like, no, it has to be a 4-book series. And I was like, I think it can just be a really long third book in the series. Like, I don't think I need to stretch it into a 4th book just to stretch it. So that was, I think, a really good pivot because I had so much good energy around that. Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
I'm ready to continue.
Into 2023. Okay. Let's get ready for 2023.
I haven't heard this either.
Okay. So on the fiction side, I have those 2 challenges that I'm going to be announcing in upcoming videos around that current book that I mentioned that is drafted with alpha readers. So stay tuned. It's dystopian women's fiction. So stay tuned for updates on that. And then I have a totally new genre I'm going to start writing in. Oops. So stay tuned for that announcement. But I've already started to draft that book and it's just really fun. And it was just something to have fun. And like, I know that that's what it is. And
well, yeah, you write a lot of dystopian and a lot of kind of dark. And this is going to be much lighter.
Much lighter, like intentionally lighter. So yeah. And then working on the Feminina number 3 and the associated side stories is going to be on the fiction side. So there's a few characters. I actually want to build out a side story with them just to make sure I'm really building the character. And I think some of that will end up in the actual book, the 3rd book. And then I can just use those as like reader magnets later, but I kind of want to do that first. I think that's really going to help me get the meat of what the final book will be.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the Author Your Ambition side, so the nonfiction side, the workbook will be launched on January 10th, in case you missed it.
Not June, January 10th.
January 10th. Get it. Get it before January 10th and pre-order. Get it after January 10th. Anytime you're watching this, get it. Okay. Going to be working on a course. So the whole reason behind doing these videos was to help more authors who had questions and saying like, well, I want my time back to write my books. And thankfully this has grown into a wonderful part of the business where like I'm now monetized on YouTube. Thank goodness, even though it's like still about $400 a month. Hey, that's $400 I didn't have before. Like it is starting to like help to fund what we do with the channel. So here for free, people can find my videos. All my books are available in libraries. So I have the books, I have the workbook, and the final thing is to build the course. So however somebody best learns and processes the information to be able to self-publish their book, I can be there for them without physically being there for them in my chair. So I can raise our daughter and spend time with you and work on my fiction books. So that is the plan for this year. And thankfully the workbook has a really great outline for how I can make the course happen. So I think that's going to make building the course easier in some ways. 2 of my last corporate jobs involved me working in like higher ed e-learning. So I have a really high bar, I think, in my mind for what it needs to be. And I think I'm finally just like, it doesn't need to be that fancy. It doesn't need to be that level of craziness, like top 100 university level. Like, no. I mean, I want it to look good. My name's going on. I want it to be really good, but right. I think I finally told myself like it doesn't need to be what that was. So the course is going to be a big thing this year. Just more consistent with the consults that are coming in. I think at the end of 2021, it was too consistent. Like I pretty much had my Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays were booked, which was great. But then I wasn't getting work done for my biggest client. I wasn't getting work done for myself. Like, it was just all consults. And I get so much energy from them, but it was too much. But now just making sure like I'm focusing on it, making sure people know that that's available, to do the consults and things like that. I would like to hit the 10,000 subscribers. I think that's going to be probably by February or March. We'll probably do another Ask Me Anything video, so stay tuned for that. And I think by the end of the year, hitting 15,000 subscribers would be reasonable.
Okay.
And again, these are arbitrary numbers, but I think for me, it's just like nice, like, yay, we're getting more people and we're helping more people and we're building this community. So that's fun.
Well, that's easy kind of to see the metrics for the business perspective. So I know what you talked about your values earlier, and like me and Celeste and our health and all that's like the number one focus. But it's easy to measure, like, I hit or didn't hit 10,000 subscribers, but like, how do you measure relationships and how do you measure? So that's always something to keep in mind too of, metrics are good.
Yeah.
You need metrics.
Yes.
But you also need to consider metrics in the harmony of
of our life. Yeah.
So.
And I think that's one thing with the consults is like, I know that's like a direct exchange of time for money, right? Like we have a 1 hour conversation, like it brings in X amount, and then I can help these people. But yeah, like that is time away from us. And that's kind of why I increased the prices to kind of say like, okay, like the demand is too high for the amount of supply. So that's economics degree over here. And you increase the price. And I think that definitely right-sized the amount of consults I had throughout the year, which was great. But just wanting to make sure it stays consistent, because I do enjoy doing these consults, and I think that's where doing the live Q&As with the members every Saturday, like if for some reason the consults went away, people just didn't want to book them anymore, or I have all these other resources, people just went with those, I'd be like, great, like I'm glad you're getting those resources, but I would still always want to keep those Q&As with the members because it gives me energy. I love it. So
right. Yeah. So YouTube, that makes sense because that's delivering great content. People can access it for free if they choose. The consults, that makes sense. They bring you energy, direct monetary value. How do you know you need the course? Why do you think you need the course?
Just knowing that people process and learn information differently, and even having people who've reached out to me with the consults and they say, look, I've watched all the videos, and they're almost repeating back to me like word for word what I've said in the videos. They're like, I just want you to tell me that I'm doing this correct and I'm not misunderstanding, I'm not doing it wrong. Like, I want you to watch me and we'll screen share, press the buttons on KDP and make sure I did this correctly, and you're not seeing anything that's off, and so that's what some people need, and they want that accountability of like, well, I have to have everything done by the date that I booked this thing because it's on the calendar, it has to be booked. And so for those people, like, I mean, everybody I work with is incredibly intelligent. They've written a book, but they just feel like they need that accountability of the consult, or, hey, I purchased the book, I read the book, I have to do the things. And for some people, it's, I bought the course, I'm going to do the course, and therefore I'm going to do the thing. And it's just that different level of knowing how you process information best and knowing what's going to hold you accountable best. And so there are people out there who are like, yep, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to take a course on it and I'm going to do it. And that's their first thought, not I'm going to get this workbook, not I'm going to go to YouTube. That's what they're going to do. So I want to make sure for however somebody best wants to receive the information that I'm showing up there for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of talks for like small businesses and entrepreneurship and getting started. It's like, put something out there and see what response you get. Sometimes even before you fully commit or fully develop something, is that an idea here that to put some mini version of it or some starter version of it and get the feedback from people that says, it's that proof of concept that exactly that's.
I guess. Okay. So you guys tell us in the comments, do you want a course? That would help. But yeah, I think I could put out mini courses. And are you willing to pay for
a course? Yeah.
Because I have 2 free mini courses on my website that are just email courses. And I don't really promote them because I've got a million other things to promote. But I don't see people take them. And I think part of that is also that they're free. So that's why I had with my second edition's checklist, which like, when people need to do a second edition, there's things to do. Like I put a price on it, and I was like, because I want people to use it. Because I put together free PDFs for several videos throughout the year. Like, here's the information condensed, and I would see, okay, I'm getting downloads on it. That's great. And then people would ask me, like, literally the question that was answered in it because they didn't read it. Because they're like, well, it's a freebie. Like, you just tell me. And I'm like, no, that's why I made the PDF, so I don't have to tell you, so I can write my own books. And so I realized when I put that, I think it's like $199 for the second edition checklist, like, people are using it. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do think that's why maybe my free courses aren't and they're super, super focused on like one specific thing because they're a 6-day email course. Like it's very different. Yeah, let me think on that, how I can make like a mini course first and see if that's beneficial.
Right.
My only concern is that people would say, oh, it's just a mini course when they have more content to it.
Yeah, or maybe not a mini course. Maybe it's just the pilot of the course.
Like a beta.
A pilot.
Yeah.
Something that's before you fully commit.
Yeah. I actually like the idea of doing a beta and getting feedback, just like I would do with a book, right? And saying, okay, you people are going through the beta, so you're going to be patient, and it's free, but like you have to give me feedback.
Right.
And then launch it from there.
Right.
I know Paula did that with her course. She had like a huge beta.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned, folks. And if you're interested in a course, if you say yes, 1,000% make a course. Put down what you think you would pay for. What would be a fair value? What you would say, like, okay, like I'd be willing to part with X amount of money to really learn this. If you'd be interested in being part of a course beta, let me know in the comments below. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, with the course, visually seeing the step-by-step process. Oh gosh, we all live on YouTube these days, and being able to like learn how to fix anything and do anything, and just seeing it happen. Yeah. Play by play on YouTube is huge, and a course would enable that. Of course, not on YouTube, but just a video evidence of how to do things, like step by step, how to do things. And like also realizing like if I want it to be fully synchronous, then I'm not offering any kind of like live stuff, but I could still do like a live component. So figuring out what that would be, and really just getting serious and thinking on that. So yeah, the course is coming. All right, so you talked about fiction. We talked about 3 components of the nonfiction. Do you want to keep going on? Is there more?
Yeah, the ebook bundle and updating going wide.
2022 to 2023.
We'll see. We'll see if we're here again in 2024, folks. So yeah.
Okay.
That was what I had, and I had on here making the AI audiobook for Interview with a Van Lifer, but I just did that before we even had this conversation. So you can check that out. That's what I got.
That's what you got? That's
what I got. I feel like these are realistic goals based on the amount of time that I know that they'll take, based on the amount of time that I know that I have. And I don't necessarily want to say like, oh, I'm sandbagging it, but like I think this is a lot of work. So
right. I mean, writing a single book is a lot of work, and there's multiple books here.
I mean, it's kind of my job, though.
Yeah. So one thing I think we're really good at is setting the next year goals. And the next year goals are often like, okay, we want to do X amount of miles running and X amount of push-ups, but like, what's the bigger picture? So where is your business in 5 or 10 years?
Okay, so I did write this down. So, and this is obviously knowing it's going to evolve every year, but in 5 to 10 years, Author Your Ambition is mostly automated. And that's not to say I'm not helping, I'm not participating, but that like the content is here on YouTube. Obviously I'm starting making YouTube videos, but like the books are available, the course is available, the workbook is available. I probably wouldn't be doing the consults anymore just because of the time they would take away from our life, but that like AYA is a well-oiled machine. It's providing great content as new people are coming into the space, as authors are like, crap, I finally wrote the second book in the series, I don't remember what to do. Like that the information is there however people want to find it, wherever they're looking for it, that it's there to be able to help them in the way that they need. YouTube is still going strong, and I can afford to have some editing help or just help with comments or design or things like that like it's not only is it doing well and that there's a thriving community with it, but that it's providing enough to cover my time and maybe a little extra to get some help. So that way we can have more time, because I also have in here that we are able to travel, that we're able to pick up and say, hey, like this is a great time of year to take our daughter to Mount Rushmore, like let's go. Or okay, like she's in a grade where she's really interested in rocks, let's go to different national parks and see the different kinds of rocks or something. Volcanoes, yes. So ability to travel, and also that freedom to say, hey, like, you know, if we're doing long-term travel, it's not vacation, right? But that there'll be certain days where we say, hey, we're not going to work today. Today we're going to go and explore the thing, and feeling that comfortability with like the business can sustain itself for at least a day or two while I just focus on family. And then ideally, because AYA is doing so well, and obviously there's always updates in self-publishing that I'll need to be doing, but that like I can just focus on my fiction. I'll be like, all of the things you need are in Author Your Ambition books. They're in the course, they're in the workbook. I'm just going to go play and have fun with fiction and really optimize that. So yeah, that's the vision.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're well on the way based on all the books that you've already completed in the AYA series and the workbook.
I've got more ideas.
Okay. So, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of automation to enhance freedom.
But like automation in a way where it's possible, where I can still have that human interaction.
Right.
Because that was the thing that got AYA started, Author Your Ambition started, was people asking me questions and me be like, okay, let me just type out the email once and I'll just hit send. But then I was always personalizing it, and I was like, oh, video, that's what I should do.
Right.
And then here we are at almost 10,000 subscribers. So
We didn't talk about TikTok.
you know, the video just came out about the TikTok experiment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
just wanted to say TikTok.
TikTok on the TikToks. It's okay. At least you spell it correctly. One of the people that was a contractor with my largest client, he spelled it TICKTOCK, like TikTok, like a clock. And I was like, no, the C's aren't in there. And he was like, how do you know you're an elder millennial? You don't know how to spell TikTok. Yeah. So, and I think, the marketing experiments will continue, and I find them to be fun and informational. And that was where, like, kind of telling you, by the way, I'm testing out TikTok for a month for my books. You were like, okay, but are you really TikTok? And it's like, okay, no, I don't need another social media channel, but it's something to learn, something to have fun with, and then to be able to report back of like, here's what works, what doesn't work for authors. So like, it kind of hit multiple again, everything I do has to have multiple levels of like, okay, does it help the business, does it help my books, can I make a YouTube video about it, like yeah.
All right, one more question I have.
Okay.
Just came up with. If you had one and only one big win in 2023, what would it be? You get to pick one win.
Well, the one I want to pick is the one I can't say because it's part of my secret project. Because I'm the most excited about that one. But I think getting the dystopian book that's been drafted further along in that project would be a huge one. There will be lots of champagne. There will be so much champagne if we make that happen.
Okay.
So, yes.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned, subscribe, because there will be announcements coming sometime in Q1. So get ready for it.
So on that note, we need to really delve into what needs to transpire to increase the chances of success.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And I think it's just staying focused. I think I've been so laser focused when I'm working. It's been really helpful. Yeah, I think all of December I've been recording videos and editing them. So most of Q1 is in the bag. I think that's going to open up the pathway for me to really be productive. I think not having the client work has been a huge help because I don't have any fire drills that aren't my fire drills. Like, I only have mine. I don't have other people's fire drills anymore. And that really helps.
Literal fire drills here in our condo.
Oh, we sure
That's
do.
fun.
Yeah,
With
condo
the
life.
2-year-old. Yeah.
It's the best. That's literally our only complaint about living here is that sometimes there's fire alarms. So yeah, and I think, we've talked about me having maybe the Saturday mornings just in a local coffee shop to make things happen, but then also figuring out like what's the corollary, like what's your time away then? And I do want to give a huge disclaimer here because I feel like every time I say I need more writing time, the people who are close to me or not close to me are like, well, your husband should do more. Like, we literally do everything 50-50. Like, I would say sometimes it skews like he does 60%, I do 40%. So if I'm saying I'm going to take a morning away, like he absolutely needs his time away too. And we need to figure out what that is. So I almost feel like we can't put the domino in place where I get the time away until we figure out what your time away is. So you need to figure out what you want.
Okay. I'll think about that.
Back to you,
Back to
Jason.
me. This isn't my channel.
You're on the channel. People are rooting for you too. So figuring that out. What else were you thinking we would need to figure out to make those things happen?
Connections. Having people in your corner. So like you control as much as you can and you put stuff out there, but like you need people in your corner. You need a network. You need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of that is going to be me going out and leveraging the current network to do podcasts, to do those things again, where I know sometimes we question like, well, what's the value of this time? But like,
Right.
I think we see years later, people are like, oh, I heard you on so-and-so's podcast. And I'm like, I recorded that 2 years ago. So
Right.
getting back into that more earnestly,
Right.
and dedicating the time to it.
Yeah. So knowing if that's number one, if that stands out far and above everything else, what other items did you mention get crossed off the list potentially?
I mean, probably
So.
just not getting the Feminina #3 book done and not updating Going Wide and not making an ebook bundle again.
There we go. That's important. It's important to know
Yeah.
what there's things that don't get
Yeah.
done, and you think the world's gonna end.
Yeah.
The world will keep going.
Well, it is one of those things you mentioned, like updating Going Wide. You're like, well, that should have been easy. Yeah, but like there are a lot of steps to it. I'm like, and the updates are going to keep coming. So nobody's complaining that it's 1 year out of date right now. Like, I'll be eating my words later. I'm so sure when I get my first negative review, like, this is so out of date. Jeff Digital bought Smashwords. I'm like, yeah, I know.
It hasn't closed yet.
No, the deal closed. They're
the
just
deal
still
closed.
like working on the phases
Oh, okay.
of integrating. I mean, it's
Gotcha.
2 separate businesses. They have to be integrated.
Right.
So I'm working on it, folks.
2024. No, 2023. It might be 2024.
It might be 2024. Anyways, so hopefully as you're watching this and you realize maybe you have goals, you say, you know, give yourself some grace, because as long as you're working towards the goal. Now, granted, I don't want to give you all, you know, a pass, like get the book done. But like life happens. Things come your way. Like we literally, like I was a week out from launching a short story. I had all these things planned for it. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that today. And you're like, no, because we literally need to pack and figure out where we're evacuating to from this Category 5 hurricane that is coming straight for us. And I was like, So I don't know. I'm not going to be able to do anything. Like, and I literally, the whole time we were evacuated, like there were moments I could have just opened the laptop and done work. I was like, nope. I need to escape into a nice little rom-com right now where the biggest problem is, does he like me? Yeah, that's what I needed.
Hold my hand, please.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, I'm excited for 2023. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see the secret projects. I'm excited for the workbook to come out.
Oh my gosh, the workbook, the thick Mac Daddy workbook right here. Here you go, folks. Look
And
how thick.
Formatted Books did an amazing job on the interior and
They
exterior.
really did. They really did a great job. So they did the cover, they did the interior formatting. It looks beautiful. I would say you should get it just so you can see what it looks like on the inside, but you should use it too, because that's why I made it. But yeah, so thank you for coming on the channel again, and we'll see Jason again when we hit the 10,000 subscribers and we do our Ask Me Anything episode. So
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was fun. Always fun to be here. So
all right, guys, if you found this entertaining, informative, if you just want to give me some encouragement for my 2023 goals, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the like button, maybe even hit the thanks button. That way YouTube knows that you got value from this information and they can get it in front of other authors like us. Now you can get back to writing your book.